I am an artist living in beautiful Vermont, USA, and I have a lot of questions. So I engage the minds of the people that I meet, poets, writers, artists. I explore what's inside and share it with you. My name is Ricky McGeckran, and I am eager to know. Today I have a special edition of Eager to Know because I have a musical guest. Jake is a resident community member. He is someone that I have observed at open mic night and have always thought that he was just such an incredible talent and interesting person. And I wanted to talk to him. And more importantly, I wanted him to perform for everyone. So Jake, Greico, go for it.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for having me here today. I'd like to start off with a bluegrass song that I learned from the singing of Norman Blake. It's called The Last Train from Poor Valley. It was good one time, everything was mighty fine. Cold tipples roared day and night. Then things got slow for no reason that I know, and the ill winds they hove into sight. Mines all closed down, everybody laid around. There wasn't really much you could do except stand in that line, get your rations cooked on time. The woman I could see was killing you. Now the soft new snows of December lightly fall my cabin round. Saw that last train from Poor Valley taking brown-haired Becky Richmond bound. It'd been coming on, Lord, I knew you'd soon be gone. Leaving crossed your mind every day. Then you said to me, things are bad back on the sea. I think I'd better be on my way. Now the soft new snows of December lightly fall my cabin round. Saw that last train from Poor Valley taking brown-haired Becky Richmond bound. I should blame you now, but I never could somehow. Miner's wife, you weren't cut out to be. It wasn't what you thought, just some dreams that you bought. When you left home and ran away with me. Now the soft new snows of December lightly fall my cabin round. Saw that last train from Poor Valley taking brown-haired Becky Richmond bound. Saw that last train from Poor Valley taking brown-haired Becky Richmond bound.
Jake, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, I am so impressed, and I just wish that I could do that. I wish that I could sing like that. I wish I could pick up an instrument and put something like that out into the world. I think that's incredible. Obviously, it is a combination of skill and a lot of practice.
Yes, sir.
When did you get connected with music in a way? Obviously, we listened to music as kids, but when did it turn into something where you wanted to perform?
Um, well, I started playing around the age 17. Prior to that, I loved music, but I was mostly into rap music in high school, growing up in BF.
Okay.
And but I really started to get interested in folk music around that time, and I wanted to play guitar. It was the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Okay.
Which I ended up really loving that movie when I first saw it, and I loved the soundtrack. It was kind of familiar, but not super familiar to me to be listening to bluegrass. You know, you hear it a little bit here and there, but once I started hearing it like that, and through that movie, me and my friends got more interested in it, and
So I'm curious. So when you went into, I assume you saw that movie at the theater, or was it something you saw?
I think I first saw it at the theater.
Okay. So when you went into that thinking about that type of music. You weren't thinking about it, and it like transformed
Probably. I
you.
just really loved the movie, and it kind of made an impression on me, the music soundtrack. I think I got a CD of it
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Maybe my dad had it. My dad also plays and sings and stuff, so it wasn't totally unfamiliar to me, but I never was that interested in playing an instrument until I was around 17. Then I became very interested in it to the point where I felt like I had a lot of catching up to do because I was kind of where you're saying, like, I I would love to be able to do that someday,
Yeah.
and that was where I was at.
Right.
I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the chops or whatever yet, and that was a great place to be at the time.
But that's interesting. It wasn't about I just enjoy listening to this music. It was about I want to be able to perform this music.
To some degree, I don't think I necessarily always wanted to play and sing. I was too nervous in a way to like put my voice out there in that way for a long time.
Yeah.
But I had some time when I was out west, living out there, away from home, to sort of, I don't know, explore my voice that way more. And I had a band that allowed me to do that with. So
Now, when did you start actually playing instruments? That was 17, and were
yeah.
you getting lessons? Were you practicing like regularly and
Well, I
really committing
wasn't
to it?
far off from going to college, right? So
Right.
I started out with a few lessons from a classical guitar teacher and a couple other teachers that was very brief just to get me going. And yeah, I probably wasn't very good at it, of course, but I was eager to play it. I wanted to learn. So that's what I did. And by the time I went to UVM for my undergrad, which was only a couple years after I even ever first really took
Yeah.
an interest in playing, I decided I have so much catching up to do. I was undecided first year, but then I was like, you know what, I just want to get better at music, so I'm just gonna major in music.
So when you major
So
in
that's what I did.
music, do you learn? So it's about performance, but it's also like music theory and all that stuff.
Yeah, it allows you to take just a whole bunch of music classes every day, and they had a jazz program which I felt was inspiring, but a little too over my head in terms of my understanding of music. I just wanted to get the basics down of diatonic scales and stuff. When you get into jazz, it's a lot more uh, modulations of the keys, and
Mhm.
it's a lot more complex, I feel. And I of course, uh, admire that music, but to this day, I stick more to the simpler folk music, diatonic music, but try to create depth within a simple form.
Nice.
At UVM, I kind of leaned into the classical side of things because that was the other option aside from jazz, and so I took lessons there and just learned a lot of theory. So even though I didn't become like a great performer during college, I just explored. You know, just dove into learning and trying to improve.
So it sounds like you did a lot with learning about music, music theory, exploring different instruments, immersing yourself in like an academic setting,
Kinda,
so to
but I was
speak.
very interested in Irish traditional music
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I just loved it, and I had an access to it. And then there was an Irish session. I love the social aspect of it. There was a great session up in Burlington when I was in college, so I would go down every week, and that's where I started going from guitar. I just really wanted to play the grooves on the guitar. Like I really love the backing of this music. It's almost like you're the bassist and the percussionist when you're playing
Okay.
um, the chords behind the melodies, but you can't get too far without really learning the melodies too. So I started playing them on the tin whistle because it's a very simple instrument.
Yeah.
and that led me to realize that I could probably try to play the flute because it's similar, but the next step up in terms of like difficulty. But the fingerings are similar enough on the instrument to where I could take what I was learning from the tin whistle and apply it to the flute because there's a lot of ornamentations that go into this style of music and specific little things, but they kind of carry over from flute to whistle, or vice versa.
So why don't we have you do a piece in the flute?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is oftentimes known and referred to as an Irish flute. It's made out of the same kind of wood that like a clarinet would be made out of. And I've been playing it for around 20 years and playing in lots of different contexts, sessions, weddings, other performances, usually with other fiddlers, accordion players, and guitarists. And it's always a good time. So, but here's a couple of reels. This is in the Irish tradition. So I'll start off with, I don't even know. Oh yeah, the names of the tunes, just because they're kind of fun. The first one is called Whistling Postman, and the second tune, which I'll go right into, is called The Limestone Rock, and then we'll go into one called The Sand Mount. So these are three reels. Here we go. So those would be like some dance tunes. You might hear dance, traditional Irish dance going with that music. But yeah, we play it for dancers or just for fun. It's always the musician circle always is having at least as much fun as the musicians. So
Nice. Now, you grew up in Vermont, you went to college in Vermont, but then at some point you had a lot of growth as a musician and learning about music and experiencing different instruments, formats, etc. But at some point you moved to the other side of the country and you moved to
right.
Portland. And I get the feeling that that was very more a lot of focus on performing and developing as a performer. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
I would say that's accurate. But prior to that, I would go out and play at like local Irish sessions and whatnot. But I would mostly practice at home, and I wasn't performing a lot. So the odd Celtic gig I would do, but when I went out to Portland, it was a lot more performance focused. That's right. I started to get more comfortable doing it, especially when I met some key friends, had some key friendships that really inspired me. My buddy Richie, especially, was great because he's an excellent songwriter. And then, so we started doing a lot together. I would play a lot of covers and some traditional songs, and we also both played Irish music. And then a few years later, we met this guy Gordo, who became a great friend as well, and he plays fiddle, and so he was a great fiddler, and we formed a band that we all met playing Irish music, but we wanted to do more of an Americana band, and so that was when I started playing out more and getting comfortable singing into a mic and that kind of thing. I'm still working on it all the time, like getting better, but that was where it kind of began. I started to put myself out there in that way a little bit.
How is singing? Do you want to put that down? Or are you okay?
Yeah.
How is singing related to playing an instrument? Like I haven't sung since chorus, as a kid, but
Yeah.
Singing in front of an audience into a microphone, is that a completely different animal than performing an instrument, or is it closely related?
Um, I think the voice is an instrument in itself, but I think it's putting your voice out there. It's a little, perhaps a little more vulnerable in some ways, um, if you will. But once you get over that, it's a lot of fun, and it's just an instrument, and people love songs. So it's nice when you can offer that. I mean, myself, like I play a lot of just traditional instrumental stuff that is no vocals at all. And then, so for me, the other side of it is kind of really fun, and I'm just starting to do more. In fact, I'll be playing for the Fourth of July here in Saxons River with a band.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So Fourth of July, this is 2024. When we're recording this, 4th of July, big event in Saxons River, and you are the performer. So tell me about what people can expect.
Right. So what people can expect, it's going to be a really fun gig. It's going to be a lot of fun. The show, let's see, we've got a mix of Americana music. I wanted to celebrate our country and celebrate all that makes it enjoyable and great to be here. We have so much good going for us in this country, even though I know there's a lot of uncertainty in the air these days. But I want to celebrate American music and just being together in community, especially in our hometown, Saxons River. Um, those of us who live there, which we both do, are very, spirited about the town. It's just a great town, and the Fourth of July happens to be one of the peak uh, celebrations there. So, what you can expect, we're going to bring the party in a sense. We want to play music that is really fun for people to listen to. Some of the songs are going to be very familiar, and others are going to be somewhat familiar, like you've heard them, but maybe not every day. I would say our set is a mix of contemporary covers and some traditional bluegrass sounding and even old time, just sort of Appalachian music.
So awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be
Thank
great.
you.
So I know you have a construction business. Can you tell me about that and how long you've had it? And also, if being in construction, does that relate to creativity and music?
I mean, I would say 100% that there's a lot of creativity involved with building. What I tend to have done most in my career as a builder and contractor is like mostly remodeling and improving people's homes rather than new construction. Personally, that's where my background is. I really like the design aspect of renovation. So, and I've been doing a couple pretty big jobs in the area. over the past 2 years since I moved back from Portland. And so yeah, it continues to grow. My body has its aches and pains in this industry. It's pretty hard physically, but I still enjoy the work. I am a general contractor in the area, and in terms of how it relates to music, it definitely has that creative aspect. There's a lot about balance. I kind of take pride in. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I really care about the quality and also the aesthetic balance of what I build and what I leave behind. I want it to feel right, so that's also how I try to make music. I want it to feel like it's right. I don't like a musical situation where there's tension and we're trying to hold on to keep it together. Ideally, when I'm playing the music that I really want to play is with friends. We're sinking into it. There's no um, so I guess in that sense, it's a similar feeling. I don't know if I'm describing it right, but of this sense of balance and groundedness in construction that I also see like in whatever art we're trying to do, right? Probably including music. Yeah.
Jake, thank you so much for hanging out with me and for playing. That was
My
really
pleasure.
impressive. Very, very envious and impressed. If people want, I know you have upcoming gigs in addition to the 4th of July. I'm not sure when this is going to come out. 4th of July 2024 in Saxons River. Do you
Yeah.
have any other upcoming gigs that you would want to let people know about?
Not a ton, but there's a small one that's local. So if you happen to watch this before July 6th, I am going to be playing at Watkins Tavern in Walpole, which I've never played there, but I've been there. Nice little place. So looking forward to that.
Okay, great.
And the 4th of July, which will be a great time. So if this airs before then, be there or be square.
All right. I guess I realize now I have to I wasn't planning on being rushed to get this out, but now I'm going to have to rush to get this edited in the next 3 days. So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick.
You're very welcome.
My pleasure.
My name is Ricky McGuckran, and you have been listening to Eager to Know, the podcast. If you haven't already, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join me next week for another Eager to Know podcast.